Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Sports Talk with Eddie, presented by Our Time Press. We are live on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon. Getting my days wrong already. Beautiful Wednesday afternoon. Got a lot to go over with in the world of New York sports. Man, has New York? Listen, just because I'm a pro New Yorker, I don't want to sound overzealous or rub it in. But if you are a typical New York sports fan, what a week has it been for just New York sports in general? I mean, we got the Knicks doing their thing. We got the Yankees and the Mets. NFL draft. This was probably one of the most watchable NFL drafts that I can remember. It was so good. Shout out to that crowd over there in Pittsburgh. I think it was about 45,000 people that showed up in Pittsburgh to watch the NFL draft. Really good stuff for the Pittsburgh hopeful, and just a lot of stuff to go over with, man. I'm excited and pumped to be with you guys on this afternoon. Before we get into things, man, there's a couple of things I want to tip my hat off to you guys and just show my appreciation and thank you. I know the past month or so, with the days being lackadaisical as it been, it's gonna be a Thursday, whether it's gonna be a Tuesday, whether it's gonna be a Wednesday. Um, I thank you guys for understanding. I tried my very best to let everybody, know and give you guys an update as far as when we're gonna do the show, what time we're gonna do the show. Obviously, I'm still getting my feet wet with the daddy duties, which I absolutely love, by the way. And that's another thing that I want to just take time and just thank you guys on behalf of me and my fiance. Just thank you guys so much for your ongoing support, whether it be for the show and especially just congratulating us with the birth of our daughter. It's been a long journey, to say the least, and just the love and the support that we have gotten, whether it's through DMs, whether it's through here, whether it's through text messages and just phone calls that we have got. It's overwhelming to say the least. But it's just such a gratitude, me being a first time father to, feel the love and just know that our daughter is loved in so many levels that we can even think of, man. So again, just want to take time. Thank you guys for always tuning in, no matter how weird and confusing the days be. I appreciate you guys for always tuning in, always showing love, always helping me make this show grow as much as we can because believe it or not, there's no show without you guys that just tune in, support, forward it to your up to opposing friends, share it, like it, subscribe it, like you guys been doing every day, and I am internally grateful that you guys tune in, whether it be on your cell phones, whether it be via Facebook, via YouTube. As you guys see right now, we finally corrected the YouTube. We are now back on YouTube, thank God, because I know a lot of people, rather do the YouTube thing as opposed to the Facebook thing. But now we got both up and running. 917-319-5481 is that number to dial. Call, let me know what is in your mind. Show some love to the podcast. There's a lot to go over with. We got baseball to talk about. We got obviously the draft. We got so much to cover, man. But I just wanted to take the time to just thank you guys for all your love and support. Listen, when I started this show, this was just a thought, a dream, something that it's a project that I been working on for a very very long time, years in the making, and we're not where we want to be just yet, but every week that you guys tune in, whether it's during the show with your calls or after the show, reaching out to me saying, "Hey man, good stuff. I'll tune in for the next one, or I'll call in for the next one." Just any consolation that you guys could do to just show love and support for the show. It doesn't go unnoticed. We're gratefully, gratefully appreciative of your efforts and you just taking the time on your Tuesday afternoon to just tune in. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share Sports Talk with Eddie, and let's get into it. So we're gonna first dive into the NFL draft, and we're gonna go over some of the picks. And after I go over these picks, I'm pretty much gonna give you guys my grade for both the Giants and the Jets. So with that said, we're gonna go with the New York Giants. And as we know, New York Giants think they were 4-12, something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. Last page they finished in the NFC East. They had a lot to cover, and I think they did a good job of solidifying things. A little questionable about their second pick in the first round that they had, but you can listen. I've said this numerous times on this podcast. I don't care how good of a quarterback you are, how good that quarterback thinks they are. It's very hard for a quarterback to have time in the pocket or out the pocket, make these certain throws if you don't have the right protection. I think even the greats of quarterbacks would agree to what I'm saying as far as, Tom Brady's, Steve Young's in the world, Aaron Rodgers, Roethlisberger, just throwing a few names as far as good quarterbacks who their offensive line doesn't get really talked about that much. But to be honest, these offensive linemen, these guys should get paid a lot more because they are the guys that solidified pretty much the protection of the quarterback position and make the quarterbacks look as good as they do. So for the number 5 pick, the Giants elected to select Arvell Reese out of Ohio State. Arvell Reese stands at 6'4", 243 pounds. This guy is a dog. Um, they elected to go with that pick, which I think is a pretty solid pick. And I know there's a lot. The thing that what got me really bent out of shape, as far as the online criticism, because I think everybody just assumed that the Giants were gonna go receiver, and I get that. I get that for the most part. I do get that, but again, you can never go wrong with a bunch of defensive dogs on the end, and I think from the way it looks, I don't think that's what it is, but I know the word insurance policy, a backup, is words that I've heard thrown out there in social media. Again, since I want to say since the end of last season, there's been trade speculation as far as the availability of fellow linebacker Kayvon Thibodeau, as far as interest that he is gravitating to around the league and stuff like that. But I just think this is your prototypical good old fashioned Joe Schoen pick. Now you guys got to remember back in 2012 and 2013, I don't know, around those years, let's say between 2007 and 2013, the Giants won those Super Bowls against the Patriots because they had a stacked defense. They had guys like Justin Tuck. You had, Michael Strahan. You had O.C. Newman Yora. Matthias Kiwanuka. You could even throw them there. They were stacked on the defensive side of the ball. And I think that's exactly what Joe Schoen and company are trying to sort of emulate with today's style of football and the way this roster is being built from the ground. I think that's exactly what they're doing. They put in a bunch of dogs there on the defensive side, and I think they're satisfied right now with what they have on offense. They got a pretty, I think whatever work that they did on offense, they were satisfied. Like I said a few weeks ago, during free agency, they were able to get who I think is going to be the steal of free agency if he stays healthy. As far as tight end Isaiah Likely, I think I speak for all Giants fans, where it's like the Giants needed somebody outside of Malik Neighbors, and we still have to see how Malik Neighbors is going to respond post ACL surgery. Some people come back stronger than ever. Some people take a little significant time to get their feet wet, to get back to trusting the knee as far as making their certain routes and just running at the top speed as they used to. And the sad part is some people it takes time. It lingers. To me, an ACL injury, they say the rehab is about 6 to 12 months. But I, for one, are the very few people that feel like that particular player with that significant type of injury, subsequently, it really takes about 2 years for a player to feel like themselves with that type of injury. That's the anterior collateral ligament. That's the main ligament that holds everything together. I don't really know much about it as far as detail goes, but that and the torn Achilles, those are the two major injuries that you could have as far as the lower extremities goes, especially for an athlete of Malik Neighbors' caliber. So again, with Reese, 6'4", 243 pounds. This guy's a dog. This guy's a dog, and he's gonna. I think he's gonna fit just well. He's 20 years old. He is the he's the to me. You couldn't go wrong as far as the Giants and Jets. You couldn't go wrong with either David Bailey and R.R. Reese. I think the people who are upset with the Jets draft and who they draft, and we'll get into that in a minute, are mad because they heard R.R. Reese's name. The people that were upset about the Giants taking R.R. Reese were upset because they thought that another player or an offensive player was going to be selected within that pick. But truthfully speaking, you really can't go wrong. I don't see where you could really go wrong with this pick. It was a solid pick at number 5. At that time, at that pivotal point in the draft, he was pretty much considered, at least in my opinion, um, the best available player at that time. Just really, really good stuff. 20 years old. He's the third youngest player picked in the top 5 since 2000. Again, he's gonna bring speed. He's gonna bring He's gonna be versatility. And the one thing that I'm hearing about this guy that Giants fans are gonna love hearing is that this guy has a motor. He's got such a good motor, and I think that's gonna really uplift Giants fans and give Giants fans that dare I say 2012 like feeling. You know, with all those great defensive players that they had. And the thing that I like about this pick is that, you know, he is young, but he's got a good core of players that he's going to be around. He's going to be around defensive players like an Abdul Carter, K1 Thibodeau, who I expect to still be there unless the Giants get blown away by a trade, whether it be now or sometime before the season. So you got Carter, you got K1 Thibodeau, you got Brian Burns, and that's what I'm saying. You have like that good four-headed monster right there, a part of that front seven. That's gonna it's gonna be a very good recipe, and it's gonna be a recipe for disaster for opposing offense to try to sustain when it comes to that type of offense, which is gonna be good. He won the 2020. Obviously, we know that he is a national champion 2024 with the Buckeyes, and he was an All American in 2025 while winning the Big Ten Linebacker of the Year award. So he's got the accolades to go with it. He's got the size. I think because he's so young, his football frame is not yet developed just yet. So it's exciting to see what his natural football body is going to be um, when he gets developed and finds those nooks and crannies that you get when you're a player that young and you have players that are ultimately coaches on the defensive end side of the ball with those players that I mentioned. So again, He comes with a winning pedigree. He's versatile. He's a stud. He's big. Um, just a good guy that the Giants picked up. He ended his career with 112 tackles, 13.5 for a loss, 7 sacks, and 2 passes defended. 6.5 of those sacks came in the 2025 season. So I think that's another reason why the Giants elect to go with that. They're amongst the teams. They're amongst the teams last as far as getting to the quarterback and stuff like that. So now, if you're the Giants, you can pretty much pick and choose, how you run your defense and who you send as far as blitz coverages goes. There's a lot to like about this pick. It was a solid pick. I don't understand why there was so much negativity that I've come across, and the flip side of that was that there was some positivity as well too. But I'm trying to have it make it make sense as far as why there was so much uh, things coming about this from a negative aspect, you know. But yeah, just a tremendous pick for the New York Giants. Now, here's where, to me at least, it got a little bit confused. It was a little bit of a head scratcher as far as who they elected to select at number 10. Now, obviously, as I alluded to a little bit, um, we don't know exactly what version of Malik Neighbors we are going to get at this time. We just don't know. Again, ACL surgeries, those are very, very tricky. It usually takes a receiver a while to get back to full extremities as far as running and cutting and doing what superstar caliber receivers do. I do think Malik Neighbors is a stud. I said that the minute the Giants got him from LSU, the Giants just have a way of just picking up these great LSU receivers. We all remember what Odell Beckham did in his prime. So I think the Giants have another gem in there, and I think the sky's the limit when we are able to see Malik Neighbors at full health. With the number 10 pick, the Giants selected offensive lineman Francis Marioga. Correct me if I'm saying it wrong. Out of Miami with the 10th overall pick. The 6'6", 325-pound lineman is considered to be the top tier pass blocker. And automatically, right then and there, you put him alongside Andrew Thomas right there. I think it was a good move. I do believe, because the draft wasn't so lineman savvy, you could have got another draft that was just as good, maybe not as good as him, considering that he was considered the best guard in the draft, or at least top two, top three best guard in this draft. If I was the Giants, I definitely would have gone receiver, because of what I just broke down as far as Malik Davis. I think a guy like Jordan Tyson would have been really, really good opposite of Malik Neighbors. You giving Jackson Dart yet another weapon with him, Isaiah Likely, and then you have another receiver like that. I think it would have been good, a good pick at the number 10 pick. But again, this is not a bad pick. I just want to reiterate that this is not a bad pick, but this is not the prototypical sexy pick that I would have gone with if I was the Giants at number 10. But you're getting a guy who's a monster on the lineman, and right away he's going to strengthen the team's offensive line, providing more protection for Jackson Dart. So you got that in the mix as far as Marinoga. I excuse me, Marioga. I believe his older brother, plays for the Jets. So you got both of the Marioga brothers in New York, which is a pretty full circle moment for that family. So shout out to the Marinoga family, both brothers representing the city of New York football, man. So good to see, man. You love when I personally love when things like that come full circle. Um, it's gonna be amazing to see, and I happen to be a Miami guy when it comes to college football, man. So I like to see my Miami guys, show getting the love that they deserve. And again, offensive linemen are just not appreciated in the currency of today's football as they should be, because ultimately they're the guys that do the dirty work. Ultimately, they do the dirty work like Jeff Saturday did for Peyton Manning all those years. You had a few notable linemen that did that for Tom Brady. So again, good pick. What wouldn't be the pick that I would have gone if I was Joe Sheen and John Harbaugh, but obviously you know the upside that he possesses at his stature at 6'6", 329, and considering that he's so exceptional with his hands as far as blocking opposing defenders, I think it was a good pick, and it wouldn't surprise me if this pick 6 months down the road I eat my words for it. I do think he is good. I just believe that the team should have gone the receiver route with that particular pick at that particular time. As we know, the Giants were able to get this pick via the trade with the Cincinnati Bengals in exchange for Dexter Lawrence. So they went and made their fifth and 10th pick with the draft, and it was pretty good picks. Pretty good picks. There's nothing that you could really hang your head if you are a Giants fan with these first two picks. Again, going into this draft, I think the two the positions at needed were lineman, receiver, and safety. I gotta look back. I believe they got a safety in the later rounds of the draft. I gotta go back to that. Don't quote me on that. But with the third pick, in the third round, essentially the third pick in the third round, they went and got Malachi. They went and selected Malachi Fields out of Notre Dame. This one, I'm like, okay, because once day one ended, I'm telling myself the Giants, it was a necessity. It was a foregone conclusion. They needed to go receiver with the third pick, considering the fact that they were working on the protection of Dart and just bulking up their front seven even more on the defensive end. So they went with Malachi Fields out of Notre Dame, 6'4", big body, 222 pounds guy. 2025, he had 36 receptions for 630 yards, 5 touchdowns, all in 12 games that he played. Again, this guy is considered a big body contested catch specialist, and I think that would be he's going to be a solid pick opposite of Malik Nabers. Again, this is what the Giants needed, and I think within these first three picks, they really excelled. So as we go with these first three picks, obviously I'm not gonna sit down and break down every pick. I'm gonna do the three picks, or 3 or 4 picks for each team if I can get through it, because there are other segments that I want to get into with you guys. But ultimately, with the first three picks here, I'm gonna give the Giants a B minus. Now last year I gave them a C plus. So I'm gonna give them a B minus, and the only reason why I'm gonna give them a B minus is because I really felt that Jordan Tyson, with his explosiveness, opposite of Malik Nabers, is just would have been such a perfect fit. Again, that's not knocking Malachi Fields. Well, not again, 6'4" body at 222 pounds. If you can get a guy like that, you know, as far as his stature and his ability to catch the ball, especially in a contested standpoint, that's definitely a win, especially when you can get a guy like that in the third round. I just feel Tyson is a little more polished. I know he had the lower leg injury in the last season, but unfortunately, as we do know, injuries are a part of the game. So I'm gonna go B minus with the Giants. I could probably mm, you know what? Let's go B. Let's go B, because I can already see the Giants fans now. they ready. You guys are ready to attack me through the TV screen and whatnot. And like I said, I like what they did. I that's the only knock that I have as far as what draft, as far as that number 10 pick, where I feel like they should have gone receiver right away because you could have got a solid guard. Uh, you could have traded for another guard or could have got another solid guard with the third pick. But again, no harm, no foul. Reese was a great pick. Again, a lot of people consider him and David Bailey, and for the most part, Sonny Styles as the three best defenders in the defensive players in the NFL draft. Um, who does what and who has a better career? Stay tuned to see how that unfolds. I'll tell you one thing: it's going to be a very exciting rookie in the year race because you got two studs from Ohio State and a guy from Texas Tech who put up tremendous numbers for their respective universities, and they both got selected within the first in the first round of the draft. So definitely good stuff right there for the Giants. But I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go a solid B. I'm gonna change. I'm gonna do what I normally don't do. I'm gonna change my grade for the Giants. You know, and I'm gonna go a B. I'm not going any further than that. I already changed it from a minus and just gave you a solid B. I'm not going B plus. I'm going solid B. I think they had a really really good draft, and I think Joe Showing and John and our new head coach John Harbaugh should be excited. We'll see what other additions they're going to do in the coming weeks. You still have a lot of exciting players that are probably a little bit past their prime or whatever, but you still have players out there who still have some really, really good football out there. We'll see if the Giants elect to grab one of those guys up with to their roster. Now, with that, we're gonna go to the New York Jets, and we're gonna break down the New York Jets picks. The Jets selected David Bailey, edge rusher from Texas Tech. Bailey stands at 6'3", 251 pounds, 23 years old. This was a little bit of a surprise to me. And to me, we all know Fernando Mendoza was going number one overall to the Raiders. That was just a foregone conclusion. There was no doubt about it. He was going to go number one overall. There was just no way you could see the Las Vegas Raider passing up on a guy with that much talent, with that much potential, especially coming off a national championship victory. So, Fernando Mendoza goes number one, and David Bailey goes number two. And the reason why it was a shock is because you've seen as far as the workouts, you've seen as far as the camps, and the mock drafts by my guy Mel Kiper Jr. It almost seemed like it was a certainty that Arvell Reese was going to be picked with that number two pick, especially when there was a workout scheduled. David Bailey did have a workout scheduled with the New York Jets, and it was the Jets, from my sources, that were the ones that elected to cancel that workout. So once you hear something like that, we're like, okay, what? Let's pump the brakes here a little bit. There's two ways that we can. There's two sides of the coin that we can look at it. One, they really had their mind; they were all in with Arvell Reese. Or two, they saw enough as far as tape, as far as meetings and things of that nature to be like, you know what, our guy is going to be David Bailey, and we're good with that. And that's exactly what they did with the number two overall pick. 14 and a half sacks that he had last year. Again, this guy is going to give you defense. He is very explosive. He's more of a guy that's exceptional as far as the defensive pressure. And listen, this is a guy that the Jets need. The Jets can use anybody on damn defense to sack the quarterback. I listen. If you're a guy that's like 60 years old and you feel like you can get 5-6 sacks during the season, as a Jet fan, I'm signing up for that. I am definitely signing up for that. But there's just so much going for the New York Jets. They obviously know that the 16-year playoff drought is going to continue to loom over the heads of owner Woody Johnson, general manager Darren Mooney, and of course head coach Aaron Glenn. So I think David Bailey is a good pick. He's a very explosive player. Like I said, he's going to provide that interior pressure, and which we haven't seen in some time. And obviously, we know as Jets fans, we were going to go edge rusher, considering the fact that the team traded away um, Jermaine Johnson to the Tennessee Titans during the offseason. But listen, nice player for our new Jets defensive coordinator Brian Duker to have and work with and ultimately develop. He's still 23 years old, so obviously he's 3 years older than Arvell Reese. But again, this is a guy that the Jets needed because they just they just couldn't sack the quarterback. The Jets were ranked 31st in total sacks at 26. And as I alluded to a little while ago, Bailey himself last season had 14 and a half sacks for the Red Raiders. So again, if he could provide some of that for us going into this season, where there's not much, again, this is going to be a process. Um, I know everybody was talking about, maybe the Jets probably are trading down to get a quarterback, but I knew going into this draft that that wasn't going to be the case. As far as the draft next year, you got some good studs. You got the quarterback from Oregon. You got the quarterback from Ole Miss. Obviously, Arch Manning is going to be the cream of the crop as far as the quarterback class that is expected to come out in the 2027 draft. So, as far as a quarterback, that's what I'm looking to go for. And well, right now, as we all know, Geno Smith returning to New York, more better, more polished quarterback, more mature quarterback. But I think it's safe, for the most part, I think it's safe to say that it's unfair to expect, you know, Jeff fans to, or even Geno Smith at that end, to see himself, unless he goes out and has a year like Sam Darnold has, which I think we all know as Jets fans it's not going to happen. But if you can have a solid year and be one of those guys that were former Jets and you're able to turn around your career and have a solid year, I mean, listen, the talent with Geno Smith is not a question. Before he had this down year with the Raiders, he had a pretty solid year that few seasons that he had with Seattle. So again, the talent's still there. He's still he's not as young as he was, but again, there's still a lot of good football when you talk about Geno Smith. We're gonna go to the calls right now. Hey, how's it going? You with Sports Talk?
Sure, how you doing, brother?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. This is Josh, man.
My man Josh.
I was listening, man. I was waiting for you to get to the Jets. And you didn't disappoint so far. The Jets disappointed me as always. I'm curious to know your take on. I heard what you said about David Bailey. I'm very curious to know your take on us going offense with the last two picks in the first round. I was a little confused by it, especially with the Amari Cooper Jr. pick. So I want to know your take on that because it confused me. I feel like we should have went straight defense.
So this was probably one of the most confusing yet appreciative drafts that I've covered in my 15 plus years of covering sports and my whole life watching sports. I think I think that they were content with Bailey. I know a lot of people there was a bunch of head scratching going on as far as wow, once they found out that they had canceled the workout with them. Even me, I thought that was a complete curveball. I'm like, okay, well, if they're canceling David Bailey, then the short pick is definitely going to be Arvell Reese. it's definitely going to be Alvaro Ruiz. But again, um, they always say it's defense win championships, but you also have to be a team that finds a way to score the ball essentially. They
Yeah,
did
that's
pick
true
up,
too.
yeah, they did pick up a few studs on. Listen, the Jets had a pretty good free agent this year. They picked up a couple of defensive studs there too. That perhaps, well, in my opinion, that they may go under the radar. So we cannot,
Okay.
as far as the free agency that they had, and if we're looking into the crystal ball of mine for next year, this team could have close to $90 million in cap space. So
Mm,
again, this could be a situation
that
where
plays a major part.
they play it out. They work with it. Listen, they're not going to the playoffs this year. I think me and you could both establish that right then and there. You
Not
know,
looking for it. Yeah.
yeah, they're not. The season hasn't started, and you can already pencil them out. And we're both Jets fans, and we can attest to that. But I'm kind of okay with the pieces. What surprised me was the 16th pick because, as I alluded to, there was two guys that I had going 16. I thought it was going to be Makai Lemon, and I watched a lot of. I'll be honest with you. I started watching Omar Cooper Jr. when he had that ballerina tiptoe of a catch against Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
since then,
that was on
yeah,
highlight reels for
that
these 2 weeks.
that was so amazing. I'm telling you, it's probably one of at least top three greatest catches that I've seen in college football. So when you see something like that, as far as like the flair of the dramatic at that pivotal point of the game, and what it meant as far as Indiana keeping up their undefeated season, it meant a lot. And I'm like, you know what? Let me look into this. But on my personal draft board, I had him. I had a crossroads between Makai Lemon and Omar Cooper Jr.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. I started reading more about Kenyon Sadiq during the draft because
Okay.
I felt like we got Mason Taylor, 22 years old. We also got another veteran tight end still on the roster, I believe. So I just didn't see them going with a two tight end offense. I just it called it was a complete curveball. But Kenyon Sadiq is a stud, and listen, these guys, as far as anybody from University of Oregon, they're all known for their tight ends, their offensive linemen, and obviously they had some good quarterbacks that had to go on to have pretty good NFL careers. So I know a lot of people, as far as the 16th pick, view the Kenyon Sadiq pick as a steal. I mean, listen, we all talk about the offense, and what do you normally want on offense? You want a guy that's going to come in and provide speed and athleticism. He does that. He's 21 years old, so that fits the identity criteria that we're trying to follow as far as promoting a youth development movement within this team. So
And I agree with that. I love that. I love that it's clear that we're rebuilding. It's very clear that the Jets are rebuilding, and hopefully we've let go of this win now mentality. For the current moment, at least give us at least good 3 to 4 years to develop some of these players. Gino is not a definite answer for the quarterback. For the quarterback issue. So, just let him sit there, give him the year. I was kind of disappointed that we didn't get Carlson back. I think me and you had talked about that before.
We definitely did.
Yeah, I would have loved to see Carlson back there. The man did 8 years in college. So he could come in under Gino, and that would have been great. Actually, he went to Arizona. He went to the Cardinals. But, I mean, like you said, there's some good quarterbacks in the 27 draft that's coming up. So we'll just see what happens. With next year's draft, and I'm already predicting crazy. I don't want us to chase the name. i.e., Archie Manning. I don't want us to chase the name if we're able to, get him. I want us to go for a good fit. I'm personally not impressed with Archie Manning yet, but that's a whole different take.
Well, for me, and before I get into that, I just want to finish the window as far as Kenyon Sadiq. Kenyon Sadiq, this, like I said, he's a stud. They're calling. He has the nickname Sadiq the Freak. February's combine, he ran a 4.39 in the 40-yard dash, which was the fastest time recorded by a tight end in 20 years. He also has a 43.5-inch vertical jump and an 11.1 board jump, whatever that is. I think that's what you, yeah. He caught 51 passes for 560 yards. He averaged 11 yards per catch and had a total of 8 touchdowns. He was named second team All-American. So, again, he has the athleticism, and this is, as far as athleticism, we haven't had any sort of athleticism pertaining to the Jets as a franchise in so damn long. Once you preach athleticism to the Jets, I'm gonna cry my eyes out. Listen, call me Justin Timberlake, because I'll be ready to cry a damn river. Because, listen, you need something. You need something that Jet fans are gonna come and be like, you know what? It may not be our time now, but at least you have something to look forward to the future. So if a 2 tight end offense is what they have going for Geno Smith, then, as Jets fans, listen, we're so damn deep into quicksand. We'll take anything at this point. So, let's.
And tight ends also bring good protection.
Yes.
Quarterbacks when needed.
Yes,
so,
and
that's also something to look forward to as well.
And that's the one thing that made me intrigued by the Jets picking Sadiq, is that he is known as a pretty solid blocker. When we think of tight ends, we think of studs. Obviously, there's not the Tony Gonzalez's of the world. The George the George Kittles of the world. The Gronks. Those come like once every 10 years. You know what I'm saying? So for us to expect that out of the tight end position is sort of unfair. But considering the fact that the guy he's 21 years old, he has speed for days, and he's a solid blocker, which you either get in one of the two. It's very rare when you get both aspects of a guy who can clearly catch the ball. I've seen the tape. This guy he's good. He's really good, and I think he has the potential of being really, really good. Yeah. So I think let's just wait and see as far as how they use them. Before we start putting our heads down. Let's just wait to see what we use them, because the fact of the matter is, Omar Cooper Jr. I think is going to be. I think he is my personal steal in this draft, not with the Jets picking in this draft, because obviously we needed somebody opposed to Garrett Wilson. I can't really tell you the other damn receivers on the goddamn roster, to be honest with you, other than Garrett Wilson. So I think the Jets did good, and I think the Jets lucked out as far as getting him, trading into the first round to get him. And then another thing, Josh, the Jets got 3 number 1s in next year's draft. So if we look at defense, we can go through 2. And not only that, but they drafted a cornerback. I think he's from Alabama, if I'm not sure. Pons.
In the later rounds.
Yeah, Pons. Now I've seen the tape. He's not a particular big body. He's 5'10", soaking wet, maybe 195. But he's fast. He's fast, and he's disruptive. Now I'm not gonna go around and say Reeves out 2.0, but on many mock drafts, not including mine, but many mock drafts, they had him as a top 3 corner in the draft period. They're emulating his game to Aaron Glenn. Quite frankly, I thought that was funny, considering that's going to be his coach. So again.
Aaron Glenn is defensive anyway.
Yeah.
He comes from a defensive background. He was, if I'm not mistaken, he was the defensive end for the Jets in his career. So, I mean, defense is Aaron Glenn's bread and butter. That's why he was on the chopping block so much with the poor defensive performance from the Jets last year. But let's hope we got it together, man. So we got 3 first-round picks next year too. So
got it. So correction, he is out of Indiana. So again, part of that national championship team with Indiana, D'Angelo Ponds. The Jets selected him with the 50 overall pick. Again, one thing that I've seen watching the tape with him, he's scrappy, man, and that's exactly what you want. That's the Aaron Glenn way. If you paid attention, because unfortunately, yet fortunately, I've been a Jet fan since Neil O'Donnell was quarterback. So yeah, but it's been that much of a torture for me. So when you want a prototypical cornerback, obviously you look for size, you look for aggression, but the scrappiness, somebody that comes with high level ball skills, that's something that you look for in a cornerback. So it wouldn't surprise me if he gets the nod for one of those immediate roles that the Jets need to fill at nickelback. So we just got to see what this team ultimately goes for and see how they look. Again, I hear where you are as far as not going defense, but again, they picked up a cornerback. I believe they picked up a cornerback via free agency, if I'm not mistaken, this past year. Again, they expected to have a whole chunk load of money come next year's free agency. So again, as you alluded to, this is probably, and I hate to say it because it seems like we see this every damn 3 years, but this is probably going to be another 3-year window. But at least this is a 3-year window with some possible development happening. Usually, we're saying that and there's nothing in place. You know what I'm saying? We got the linemen, we got the offensive linemen, we got that together a little bit. Defense, like I said, I think defense should have been a necessity, but I think as far as what they made on free agency and picking up David Bailey, I believe the Jets were just content with that. I do believe they got another defensive tackle in the later rounds as well, too. So we'll see how that unfolds. But again, they definitely, if not in the free agent pool, definitely towards the future, I would expect for the Jets to be more reliant on defense. As I alluded to before, I got a little bit during the podcast, the Jets got 60 total sacks as a team, which was ranked 31st. Bailey had 14.5 by himself last year. So again, you're coming with the number 2 pick. You're coming to a football-loving city like New York. You better, you're coming with the name. I'm pretty sure you're going to come with the contract as well. The number 2 overall pick doesn't go without significant pressure, and I believe David Bailey, for the most part, know that. So this is a wait and see, but honestly, man, I like what the Jets did, man. I was satisfied. If Sadiq is who they say he is, we got another receiver. Well, essentially, you could put him out as a third wideout, in the event, and then let's not forget we got AJ Mitchell. I believe is it AJ Mitchell? Oh my God, I'm probably getting him confused with Oklahoma City guard AJ Mitchell. There's so many Mitchells in the world, but we did get him with the Jets. Adonai Mitchell. There we go. Adonai Mitchell. Again, we cannot forget about him. He had a pretty good end to the season, and he's still getting into the mix, coming over with the Sauce Gardner trade. We gotta, let's not get it twisted here, Josh. He's 23 years old, so still a lot for him to develop as far as what the Jets are projected to do on defense. Again, we all know right now the Jets, as far as the division, it's pretty much Buffalo's division. Well, let me not say it. Let me stop myself. I call myself. It is a two-headed monster between Buffalo and New England. You could tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't see, Miami got a whole whirlwind of issues going on with them, especially with the departure of Tua Tagovailoa, and the Jets are where the Jets are. So, so yeah,
Miami is in the rebuilding stage, as we are. So, it's no love lost to them, but the AFC East has always, for the most part, been a one-team division. And as of now,
it's been like that forever.
It currently is a two-headed monster. So when it's our time, man. I love the rebuild that we're doing. Just hope for the best.
Yeah, and another thing, there's another guy that we had to look into, being that you are on the topic of defense. Let's not sleep on Mr. Darrell Jackson Jr. Darrell Jackson Jr. was a guy that they picked in the 4th round, 103rd overall out of Florida State, 6'6", 315 pounds. He is a massive physical run stuffer. He has 35-inch arms and 11-inch hands.
Okay.
I probably got less than half of that. So, you know what I'm saying? So, and obviously, he's going to be a first and second down player. He's probably going to be a guy that's going to contribute to an interior defensive line rotation that includes Harrison Phillips. And again, we just got to see how this goes. But I think, because let's be honest, after the second draft, nobody really watches the draft like that. At least, no, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you remember when you were a kid and you went to detention and it was like the longest hour ever? That's day 3 of the draft. That's day 3 of the draft in its entirety, man. So again, whenever you get a chance, look up Darrell Jackson Jr. from Florida State, man. He's a stud guy, 6'6", and he's gonna bring a significant size to the 3-4 defensive front that the Jets are expected to run.
Sounds good, brother.
Josh, man, I appreciate you calling, my brother. Appreciate you calling, my brother.
No problem, man. Good talking to you.
All right, now. Till next time. So with that said, I would give the Jets again. I would give them a A-. I think they did a lot of good stuff. I think from the tape that I've seen, from what I've read, from what I'm hearing around the league, Kenyon Sadiq is going to be a steal. I, for one, don't know that yet because I was so focused on the Jets getting a receiver that my primary study and focus was the Jets getting a wide receiver. Eventually, they did. Unexpectedly, in the 30th round, they ended up getting a guy that I was hoping they would get at 16. So you get a guy like Kenyon Sadiq, and you get a guy like Omar Cooper Jr., hopefully it becomes a win-win and more weapons for Geno Smith to use on offense. So that would be my grade for them. I go the minus because I do agree with Josh was saying a little bit. I would have definitely focused a little bit more on defense, but I kind of felt like they just have done that for the most part in future drafts, and it just hasn't worked out that much. Obviously, going defense with the number 2 pick was a given, considering the fact that they traded away Jermaine Jackson, so they were going to find a way to replace him in that 3-4 scheme. So definitely good stuff. NBA we got going on. So the New York Knicks were able to grab the Game 5 victory from the Atlanta Hawks. I was kicking it over with my dad. My dad is like overnight, I want to say. At least for the past 2-3 years, because my dad's like a pancake. He flip-flops for teams, but at least for the past 3 years, he's been loyal to an extent. As far as his New York Knicks team. So the Knicks were able to prevail with the victory by a score of 126-97. They now take a 3-2 series lead with Game 7. Oh, excuse me. Oh boy, hope I didn't jinx it. Game 6 tomorrow at State Farm Arena in Atlanta. That will be a 7 o'clock start time for tomorrow night's game, and the Knicks look to close out that series. And I think the good news, the Knicks got more good news as far as how last night went, as Philadelphia was able to extend their series with the Boston Celtics, as the Sixers were able to steal a win in Boston to extend that series to a 3-2 series lead with Game 6 coming back in Philadelphia tomorrow night as well. So I keep telling you guys, I said this in last week's podcast. If the Knicks make Karl-Anthony Towns the number one vocal point on offense, which they needed to do, considering the fact that Atlanta doesn't really have that much strong, at least tall interior big man on the front. So you go with a guy that has the potential of being aggressive, who knows how to get to the basket. For the most part, he's good with his feet. And let's just face it, without a doubt, if he's not one of the best, he is the best perimeter shooting big man that we have ever seen play in the NBA. So, and this is nothing taken away from Brunson by any means necessary. We all know Brunson's going to get his points. He dropped 39 last night. OG, you can't really say nothing about OG at an OB, man. He's just been hooping and balling. He was the best He was the best corner 3-point shooter all year in the league, and he just continues to knock that shot down and whatnot. You will hope some way, somehow, the Knicks find a way to fix whatever the hell is going on with Mikal Bridges. But there seemed like they found a way to, at least for the most part, because, again, you're going into a hostile crowd in Atlanta. It seems like C.J. McCollum plays his best basketball when he's in the home crowd. He struggled in Game 5. I do not see that happening again, considering that this is a do and die situation for the Atlanta Hawks. But again, Game 4, Karl-Anthony Towns leads with the triple-double. Game 5, again, he has another great performance with his tenacity, his aggressiveness, his ability to want to get aggressive and get to the free throw line is doing the Knicks wonders right now. And listen, we talk about his aggressiveness and what he does on defense. This is a guy that averages a little under a dozen rebounds a game. So you got him. Obviously, we know what Mitchell Robinson can do when he's right, and the Josh Hartson and the world and stuff like that. So right now, it's like a well-oiled machine for this current New York Knicks team as far as how they structure right now. But like I said in last week's podcast, in order for the Knicks to win this series, they have to run the offense through Towns. And shout out for Mike Brown. I don't know if Mike Brown tuned in to the podcast. If he did, shout out to you, shout out to the Knicks. But somebody listened to me last week, because that's exactly what we have seen within these past couple of games. So, again, we will see if the Knicks are able to close it out tomorrow. That is a 7 o'clock start tomorrow in State Farm Arena in Atlanta. We'll see if that keeps on going, man. Just good, tremendous basketball that we have seen in the playoffs so far, man. And we'll see what happens. We'll see if eventually we're in a collision course between another good old-fashioned New York versus Boston. I don't like to get too ahead, but let's just hope that it's heading in that direction. So far, it looks that way, with New York and Boston both leading their respective series at 3-2. If you want to look at some sports that's going on tonight, the biggest note for tonight, we got the New York Mets, who are coming off their best win of the season last night against the Washington Nationals by a win of 8-0, led by Juan Soto, home run shot. Hopefully he gets it going. I know he just got back from injury, but obviously with the team's recent 12-game losing streak, this offense is going to go as far as Juan Soto takes them. They are back at it tonight at Citi Field, 7 o'clock game start time to that. The Yankees should be kicking off any minute right now in a Wednesday matinee against the Texas Rangers. The Yankees' number 2 overall prospect, Elmer Rodriguez, is taking the mound today after Luis Hill was sent down to Triple H. Oh, Triple H. That's my wrestling. Sent down to Triple A to make room on the 40-man roster. The Yankees elected to DFA Randall Grichuk. Thank you, Randall Grichuk, for what you have done while you were in the Yankee uniform. But we'll see what this kid can do. He's making his major league debut against a pretty decent offense in Atlanta. Has a fastball that exceeds over 100 miles per hour and has a couple of other good pitches that he is able to get swings and misses. So again, this is going to be good. I'm going to tune in as soon as I get the hell out of here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you guys on the next one.